Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at Broadcom,
All right.
a tech giant. They recently acquired VMware
Yes.
for a whopping $86.3 billion.
Huge.
A multi-cloud service provider. So
Yeah, it's a big statement.
a big statement. So
Yeah.
we're going to be exploring Broadcom's journey, their financial kind of prowess, the strategies they employ, and how they stack up against the competition.
Sounds good.
By the end, you should have at least an idea if this is something you want to consider.
We'll see how it goes.
Let's just jump right into it, shall we?
Yeah.
Financials, of course. I always like to look at numbers.
Sure.
What do we have?
Well, Broadcom is classified as a large accelerated filer with the SEC.
Okay.
So they have a public float exceeding $700 million.
Wow.
As of October 29th, 2023, they reported a net revenue of $35.8 billion for the fiscal year 2023, marking an 8% increase from the previous year.
That's great, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And their Semiconductor Solutions segment, which contributes a hefty 79% to their total revenue, witnessed a robust 9% growth, largely fueled by the increasing demand for networking server storage and broadband products.
Wow. So that's like their main business.
Pretty much.
What about their other segment?
The infrastructure software segment, which comprises 21% of their revenue, exhibited a more modest 3% growth.
Okay.
This was driven by a strong performance in their mainframe solutions, partially offset by a slight dip in their FC SAN products.
Interesting. So if you were going to look into investing, like what would you look at? Like what stands out to you?
Well, I would definitely want to dig into that a little bit more, see why there's such a big difference in growth there.
Right.
Why is one going up 9%, the other one's only going up 3%?
Yeah. It's like one engine's, roaring.
Exactly.
And the other one is sputtering a bit.
Right.
So you've got to figure out what's going on there.
Right.
Now, we can't talk about Broadcom without talking about acquisitions. I mean, these guys, they are not afraid to make big moves.
No.
Like, they're bold. And the VMware is just a perfect example of that.
Indeed.
Like, they're going after it.
Yep. They're not just acquiring companies, they're strategically integrating them into their framework.
Right.
Broadening their product portfolio to address evolving market needs.
So how do they actually go about merging these companies? Because these are two huge companies. How do they do that?
A key aspect is consolidating various infrastructures, including corporate functions, IT, finance, and administration. This ensures seamless operations and maximizes efficiency.
Okay, yeah.
They also need to coordinate sales and marketing efforts to effectively position their expanded capabilities to a wider audience.
Yeah.
You're talking about fitting together two massive jigsaw puzzles. You got to make sure all the pieces fit perfectly.
Absolutely. And then there's people.
Yeah.
There's
There's the human element. You got to make sure all the employees from both companies feel valued, integrated into the new structure.
Yeah. So it's a delicate balancing act.
Yeah.
But amidst all of this, they are very committed to innovation.
Absolutely.
They're constantly pushing boundaries of technology, both organically and, of course, through those strategic acquisitions.
Right. Their focus is on developing what they call mission-critical, innovative, sustainable, and higher-value product platforms, demonstrating their dedication to delivering cutting-edge solutions.
Wow. And I also talk a lot about, like, manufacturing optimization.
Right.
Especially when it comes to their semiconductor products.
Yeah, they're constantly striving to enhance efficiency and performance.
Okay.
One example is their transition to smaller line width geometries in their manufacturing processes,
Okay.
enabling them to pack more power and functionality into smaller chips.
So like smaller, faster, more powerful.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which seems to be like the mantra of the entire tech world.
It is.
Okay. So they also offer something called custom silicon solutions.
Yeah.
What is that?
So it's a platform for what's called ASICs, which are application-specific integrated circuits.
Okay.
These are essentially custom-designed chips tailored for specific purposes.
It's like a bespoke suit for a chip.
Yeah.
Okay.
These ASICs are utilized in diverse applications ranging from data center compute offload and 5G infrastructure to wired communication networks.
Oh, wow. So they're really covering a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
But operating in all those markets means they're facing some stiff competition, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Broadcom operates in industries characterized by relentless technological advancements, evolving industry standards, and cutthroat competition.
Wow. So how do they stay ahead of the curve? What's their secret sauce?
Their strategy revolves around developing these highly specialized, application-specific products for key target markets.
Okay.
This laser focus allows them to offer tailored solutions that precisely meet the unique needs of their customers, giving them a competitive advantage.
So it's like they find these little pockets of opportunity and become the go-to provider for those specific needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But even with a solid strategy, there are always risks, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
One potential risk stems from their reliance on contract manufacturing.
Okay.
So they depend on a limited number of suppliers for critical components.
Right.
And any disruption in that supply chain could significantly impact their ability to get their products to market.
Yeah. That's a scary thought.
Yeah.
So they need to be really careful about that.
Yeah.
What other risks should potential investors be aware of?
Another significant risk is the fierce competition they face. It could potentially hinder their revenue growth, making it tougher to maintain or improve their profit margins.
So it's a constant battle to stay ahead.
It is.
All right, so we've got a pretty good understanding of like their financials, their strategy, and kind of the risks they face.
They've laid the groundwork,
Yeah.
are understanding Broadcom's position in the tech industry. Now let's shift gears and delve into their industry standing,
Okay, sounds good.
exploring how they navigate the competitive landscape.
Let's see how they measure up
All right.
against the titans of the tech world.
Sounds good. So Broadcom is deeply entrenched in industries known for rapid technological shifts, ever-evolving standards, and fierce competition. To thrive in this dynamic environment, they've adopted a laser-like focus on developing application-specific products targeting key high-growth markets.
So instead of trying to be a jack of all trades, they're becoming masters of specific domains.
Precisely. Think of it as a surgeon specializing in a particular procedure.
Right.
They've become experts in select areas, which allows them to offer highly tailored solutions, outmaneuvering the competition in those niches.
I like that analogy. But even with this focused approach,
Yeah.
they must face some pretty significant challenges, right?
Certainly. One major vulnerability stems from their dependence on contract manufacturing and a limited number of suppliers for critical components. This reliance could significantly impact their ability to bring products to market if supply chains are disrupted.
Yeah, it's like having all the ingredients for a fantastic meal, but lacking a crucial spice. Everything comes to a halt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The smooth flow of their operations hinges on a delicate balance of external factors.
And of course, we can't forget about competition.
Absolutely. Maintaining their competitive edge and protecting their profit margins requires constant innovation and strategic adaptation. It's a high-stakes game where complacency can be costly.
Okay, so we've got a pretty good understanding of how Broadcom positions itself within its industry and the competitive forces it faces. But let's get down to brass tacks. What does all this mean for someone considering investing in Broadcom? Should they jump in, or is it too risky?
To answer that, we need to look at the big picture. Their financials, their strategic direction, and their track record. Let's start with those impressive financial figures we discussed earlier. That strong revenue growth, particularly in their semiconductor solutions segment, paints a positive picture.
Yeah, a 9% jump in revenue is a definite attention grabber. And they're returning value to shareholders through stock buybacks. A move often seen as a sign of confidence in their future prospects.
And don't forget their significant commitment to research and development, crucial in the ever-evolving tech landscape. They're clearly investing in staying ahead of the curve.
They're not resting on their laurels.
No.
They understand that innovation is the lifeblood of the tech industry. But we have to address the elephant in the room, that massive debt load. How does that factor into their financial stability and future growth potential?
As of October 29, 2023, they carried a substantial $40.8 billion in senior notes, not to mention the additional $30.4 billion term loan they took on to finance the VMware acquisition.
Wow, that's a lot of debt.
Those are some hefty numbers.
And you know what that means? Interest payments. Those payments can really put a dent in their profits and limit their flexibility to make strategic moves.
Exactly. That level of debt could potentially impact their financial health and make them more susceptible to economic downturns or changes in interest rates. It's a factor that investors need to weigh carefully.
But it's not all doom and gloom,
Yeah.
right? They're actively repurchasing their stock, which suggests they believe their shares are undervalued.
That's true. As of October 29, 2023, they still had $7.2 billion remaining under their May 2022 stock repurchase authorization.
And during the 2023 fiscal year, They repurchased and retired approximately 9 million shares for a total of $5.8 billion. That's a significant investment in their own stock.
Indeed. And remember, they're also pouring resources into research and development. They've publicly stated their intention to continue these substantial R&D expenditures to maintain their competitive edge.
So they're spending big to stay ahead of the game,
They are.
which makes sense in such a dynamic industry.
Now, here's an interesting point. Broadcom's stock performance over the past 5 fiscal years has been stellar. It has significantly outperformed both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ Q100, indicating strong growth potential.
So despite those debt concerns, the stock has actually been a winner for investors.
It certainly has. Now, let's synthesize what we've learned and try to address that million-dollar question. Is Broadcom a worthy investment?
That's what we're all here for. Give us the inside scoop.
Remember, investment decisions are highly personal and should align with your financial goals and risk tolerance. We're providing you with the information to make an informed decision, not a definitive recommendation.
Of course, we're equipping you to do your own due diligence. So walk us through those key factors to consider when evaluating Broadcom as an investment.
Firstly, their financials. They boast a strong track record of revenue growth, especially in their semiconductor solutions segment, and they've demonstrated consistent profitability. However, that substantial debt load warrants careful consideration.
It's a double-edged sword. They've got the growth and the profitability, but that debt is a real wild card.
Precisely. Next, consider their strategic approach, particularly their aggressive acquisition strategy. While acquisitions can fuel rapid growth, they also present challenges in terms of integration and realizing the expected benefits.
It's a high-stakes game. They need to make sure those acquisitions are truly strategic and not just empire building.
Exactly. Another crucial aspect is their laser focus on specific high-growth markets. They've positioned themselves to capitalize on burgeoning trends like cloud computing, 5G wireless technology, and the rise of artificial intelligence.
They're riding the waves of technological innovation, but those waves can be unpredictable.
Indeed. Now let's turn our attention to the competitive landscape. Broadcom operates in highly competitive arenas, facing off against both established giants and agile startups.
It's like a gladiatorial arena with everyone vying for dominance. So how do they hold their own against such formidable opponents?
They have several key advantages. Their deep expertise in both hardware and software, their comprehensive portfolio of solutions, and their demonstrated ability to acquire and integrate companies. This trifecta gives them a competitive edge.
It's like they've got a secret weapon in their arsenal. That synergy between hardware and software allows them to create integrated solutions that others struggle to replicate.
And they've cultivated a reputation for quality and reliability, crucial in mission-critical applications where downtime simply isn't an option. They've earned the trust of their customers, a valuable asset in the competitive tech landscape.
It's like building a brand that stands for rock-solid dependability. But we can't ignore the risks, right? We've already discussed their debt load and their dependence on contract manufacturing. But there's always the challenge of keeping pace with technological advancements.
You're absolutely right. Falling behind in the tech world is a recipe for disaster. And the success of their acquisition strategy will be a major determinant of their future growth and profitability. A string of poorly executed acquisitions could derail their progress.
It's like a high-wire act. They've got to maintain their balance while navigating all these challenges. So where do we land on this? Is Broadcom a good investment or not?
As we've emphasized throughout, that's a decision only you can make. We've provided a thorough overview of their operations, financials, strategy, and the competitive landscape. Now it's time for you to weigh these factors, conduct your own research, and determine if Broadcom aligns with your investment philosophy and risk tolerance.
It's like putting together a puzzle. We've given you the pieces, and now you need to see if they fit into your overall investment picture.
If you believe in their long-term growth potential, their ability to outmaneuver the competition, and their capacity to manage their debt effectively, Broadcom might be a valuable addition to your portfolio.
But if those risks overshadow the potential rewards in your eyes, it's perfectly fine to pass. The best investment decisions are those that align with your individual financial goals and comfort level with risk.
Now, as we wrap up our analysis of Broadcom, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. Imagine a world where every device, every system, every piece of technology is interconnected. How does Broadcom fit into that future?
That's a great question. They're already a major player in connecting our world, from data centers to smartphones to broadband networks.
Exactly. So as you consider Broadcom as an investment, think about their potential role in shaping that interconnected future. Will they be a leader, a follower, or a casualty?
It's like we're standing at a crossroads, and Broadcom is choosing its path. We'll have to wait and see where that path leads. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of Broadcom. We hope you found it insightful and engaging.
Remember, the journey of investing is a continuous one. Stay curious, stay informed, and always be open to learning and adapting as the market evolves.
Happy investing. So we've covered a lot of ground looking at, the financials, the strategic moves, how they position themselves. But now let's zoom in on one of their, most critical pillars, their dominance in the semiconductor space.
Right. Semiconductors are really the brains behind modern electronics.
They are.
Powering everything from our smartphones and laptops to massive data centers and the world of self-driving cars. And Broadcom is a leader in designing and supplying those components.
What sets them apart in that? Because
Yeah.
there are a lot of semiconductor companies out there. What makes Broadcom special?
Well, they've carved out a unique niche by focusing on complex digital and mixed signal chips,
Okay.
often based on CMOS technology.
Okay.
This allows for faster switching speeds, lower power consumption,
Yeah.
which are, crucial in today's world.
Absolutely.
And the strategic focus has allowed them to establish a strong foothold in key areas. So why don't we explore some of their most important semiconductor solutions?
Lead the way.
Okay, one area where Broadcom truly excels is managing the massive amounts of data that flow through data centers, service provider networks, and enterprise networking applications. Their chips are designed to handle that data deluge,
That's a good word. Data deluge.
ensuring smooth and efficient operation.
Right. Which is, really critical as our reliance on data continues to explode.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're like the unsung heroes, right? Like they're keeping the internet humming along.
You could say that.
Yeah.
It's not just about data centers. They also have a commanding presence in the wireless market. They provide a range of radio frequency, semiconductor devices, wireless connectivity solutions, custom touch controllers, and even things like inductive charging solutions.
Wow. So they are enabling like the wireless technologies that we use every day,
Yes, ma'am.
smartphones to our earbuds.
Yeah, they're deeply embedded in the fabric of our connected lives.
It's true.
And they haven't forgotten about the entertainment side either. They're a major provider of chips that power set-top boxes,
Oh, wow.
bringing cable and satellite TV into our homes.
Okay.
And they're also playing a role in the evolution of broadband access technologies,
Right.
providing the chips that power those super fast DSL, cable, and fiber optic connections that we all crave.
That we all want. Exactly.
Yeah.
They're involved in pretty much every aspect of how we connect to the digital world,
Yeah. It is impressive.
from the infrastructure to the devices we use.
And they're not just content with maintaining the status quo. They're constantly innovating, to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
And I know they're at the forefront of developing the chips that support the HEVC video compression standard.
Right. HEVC.
I don't even know what that stands for.
High efficiency video coding. It's a game changer.
Okay.
It's a far more efficient way to compress video, allowing for things like Ultra HD video streaming without hogging all the bandwidth.
Okay. That's how we can binge watch our favorite shows in 4K without everything, buffering. Yeah.
Exactly. And Broadcom is a key enabler of that technology.
Wow, that's really cool. Now, earlier you talked about their custom silicon solutions,
Yeah.
and I think that's worth exploring a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a fascinating aspect of their business.
It is.
It's all about providing their customers with the tools and platforms to design their own specialized chips.
Right.
Which are known as ASICs, application-specific integrated circuits. So these are custom-designed chips tailored for very particular purposes, as opposed to, general-purpose chips.
Right. So it's again, the bespoke suit, tailored for that specific need.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And Broadcom is really good at helping their customers create these custom chips, which are becoming increasingly crucial in areas like data center compute offload, 5G infrastructure, and wired communication networks. It's a rapidly growing market.
Wow. Sounds like they have a lot of irons in the fire.
Mm-hmm.
But let's take a step back for a moment. What are some of the headwinds? What risks do they face in this space?
Well, one of the most significant risks is the intense competition within the semiconductor industry.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Companies are constantly jockeying for market share, pushing the limits of technology, and trying to outmaneuver each other.
It's a high-stakes game.
It is. Staying ahead of the curve is essential,
Absolutely.
but it's also incredibly challenging and expensive.
Right.
And then there are external factors
Of course, yeah.
that can impact the entire industry, such as global economic conditions, trade tensions, and those pesky supply chain disruptions,
Supply chain,
which
yeah.
have become all too familiar.
Yeah, we've seen how fragile those can be, and any disruption can have, a ripple effect,
Yeah, exactly.
impacting production, distribution, and ultimately, profitability.
Now, despite these challenges, Broadcom has consistently demonstrated an ability to navigate the complexities of the semiconductor landscape. They've achieved consistent growth and profitability,
Yes.
showcasing, their deep understanding of the industry
They know what they're doing.
and their knack for making smart decisions.
They're shaping the future of the semiconductor industry.
They are, and they're constantly investing in research and development, acquiring new technologies and forming strategic partnerships to solidify their position. They're not sitting still.
So they're playing the long game.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good. That's reassuring. Now, we've talked about their semiconductor business, which is a big driver of their success. But they're not a one-trick pony.
Right.
They have that other segment, the infrastructure software business.
Exactly. That 21% of their revenue.
Yeah, that's a nice chunk.
That comes from the infrastructure software segment. And that's where they provide software solutions to help businesses manage and secure their IT infrastructure, a critical need.
In today's digital world?
Exactly. In today's digital world, it's the glue that holds everything together.
Yeah, it is.
Making sure systems run smoothly, data is protected.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's talk about the specifics of their infrastructure software offerings. What are some of the key areas they focus on?
One of their key areas is mainframe software.
The mainframe software.
Yeah. They provide a suite of software solutions that help businesses optimize, manage, and secure their mainframe systems.
Okay. Mainframes. Aren't those kind of dinosaurs in the tech world?
They might seem like relics from a bygone era,
They do.
but mainframes are still workhorses in many large organizations.
Okay.
They handle massive amounts of data and transactions.
Oh.
And Broadcom's software solutions help keep those systems running smoothly and securely.
So it's like keeping those old engines humming along.
Exactly. They're the unsung heroes of the corporate world.
They are.
Now, in addition to mainframe software, they also offer software for distributed systems.
Okay. Distributed systems.
Right, which are becoming increasingly important as businesses embrace cloud computing and interconnected technologies.
Okay, remind me what distributed systems are again.
Okay, think of them as networks of interconnected computers that work together to perform tasks.
Okay.
So things like cloud computing platforms, large-scale enterprise applications, even those gaming platforms, these are all examples of distributed systems.
Okay, so they're helping businesses kind of manage the growing complexity as more and more systems become interconnected.
Exactly. Their software helps businesses plan, develop, automate, manage, and secure applications across a wide range of platforms, from the legacy mainframes to cutting-edge cloud-based systems.
Okay, so they're bridging the gap between the old and the new.
Yeah.
And we can't forget security. That's a big concern for businesses.
Huge.
One wrong move and your sensitive data is splashed all over the internet.
Absolutely. And Broadcom has recognized this need by making significant investments in security software,
Right.
both through internal development and strategic acquisitions.
Yeah, like when they acquired Symantec's enterprise security business.
Right.
That was a big one.
That was a major move. And they haven't slowed down. They've continued to expand their portfolio, adding capabilities in areas like threat detection, data loss prevention, and endpoint security.
Okay.
Making sure their customers have the tools to protect their data and systems from those increasingly sophisticated bad guys.
Yeah, they're always out there lurking. So Broadcom's giving them that peace of mind. Yeah. Okay, so we've established that Broadcom's infrastructure software segment is a significant part of their business. Complements the semiconductor offerings, which is really cool. But how do they stack up against the competition in that space?
Well, the infrastructure software market is a crowded one,
It is.
with a mix of, established giants and smaller startups all vying for a slice of the pie. Broadcom faces stiff competition from companies like IBM, Microsoft, Oracle, and a host of smaller, specialized software vendors.
So they're going up against the big guys.
They are.
Yeah. That's no easy feat.
It's not. But Broadcom has a few key advantages that help them stand out.
Like what?
First, they have a long history of innovation in the semiconductor space.
Right.
This gives them a deep understanding of the underlying hardware that their software runs on.
So they know how to optimize it.
They do. They're not just software developers. They have that hardware expertise.
It's a good point.
So it's kind of like a chef who not only knows how to cook, but also understands how to grow the ingredients.
Okay, yeah.
They have that holistic perspective. Second, they have a broad portfolio of both hardware and software solutions.
Right.
So this allows them to offer integrated and comprehensive solutions to their customers. They can address more of their needs.
It's that one-stop shop approach.
It is.
Convenience,
Customers love that. And their third advantage is their proven track record of acquiring and integrating companies. They've shown that they can absorb new technologies.
They're not afraid to make those big moves.
They're not. They're playing to win. Now, of course, there are risks.
Oh, yeah, with any business.
One of the biggest risks is the rapid pace of change in the software industry.
Oh, yeah.
It's a constant race to stay ahead of the curve. It's like running on a treadmill that keeps getting faster.
You got to keep going.
You got to keep pushing yourself. Broadcom has to constantly invest in R&D to ensure their solutions remain competitive.
Right.
And meet those evolving needs of their customers.
Because if they don't, they fall behind.
Exactly. And another risk, which we've talked about before, is the complexity of integrating acquired companies.
Right.
Merging those different corporate cultures, product lines, customer bases can be tricky.
They can be.
Broadcom has to be very strategic in its acquisitions to make sure they add value and don't create more problems.
Right. Sometimes you create a big mess.
You do. So it's a delicate balancing act.
All right. Well, we've covered a lot of ground. We've explored their semiconductor business, their infrastructure, software offerings, and kind of the competitive landscape.
Yeah. We've seen their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
We have.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. So for our listeners out there, what do you think? What's the final takeaway here?
Well, we've provided a comprehensive overview of Broadcom.
We have.
Highlighting their businesses, their strategies, the competitive forces they face. Now it's up to you, the listener, to decide if this is something that aligns with your financial goals and risk tolerance.
We've given you the pieces of the puzzle.
We have. Now it's time for you to assemble them.
Yeah.
And see if Broadcom fits into your overall picture.
Do your research, understand the risks, and make good decisions.
Absolutely.
And most importantly, enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, on this exploration of Broadcom.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Hope you found it insightful. And remember, stay curious.
Yeah.
Stay informed and never stop learning.
That's right.
Happy investing.